Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of Underground Video Networks.
Behind the Counter.
This episode, we're going to give you a recap of what's happened up till now in the DC, I don't want to say cinematic,
TV universe.
TV universe, so stay tuned. Hey everyone, and welcome back. We are Underground Video Network. This is Behind the Counter. I'm Michael Boroff.
I'm Richard Ketterjohn.
Hey, we're going to be, first of all, we would love to thank Alter Ego Comic Books and Lima, Ohio for letting us shoot here.
We're back in the warehouse.
Yep. We got Christmas going on out front. You know, we're two old Grinches, you know, humbug and all that
Actually,
stuff.
it was really noisy because it really packed.
Yes, bless. But we're here to give our little recap of, we're kind of calling it our countdown to Elseworld.
Correct.
Everything that's been going on in the DC TV universe up until today. And luckily, we're both caught up. I just watched Titans this morning.
This whole season's been great. You know, it's not quite the DC TV universe on the CWs,
Right.
But it's on its own.
Yes. It is so good. Me and you have been defending Titans since day one. And you know the thing I really like is this is the first season. Every first season is like good, but you know after everything we've seen before, you know it's going to get better.
This is progressively getting there. I mean, it's a solid story. And the thing I think is crazy is it takes place in Ohio.
I know, kidding. It's like you look at the license plates, it's like, And what was the place where her mom was? Deer Kill, Ohio? I love it. But of course, it's in Ohio, and it's got to be winter because Ohio's only known for winter. We have warm too. Well, I guess it makes sense because if it was warm, then he would never be able to get to anywhere because of the construction. Robin's like driving a car. It's like, oh man, road construction. But it's been really solid good. I like the progression that the story's made. The way all these characters have come together has been very organic.
He hit the point. Coming together. This is an origin story of the Titans.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't the Teen Titans, really. This is them coming together, and it's a homage to the 80s stories.
Yes.
You know, that Marv Wolfman and George Perez did. You know, it takes that element, because this is... the main story to me is Dick Grayson becoming Nightwing.
Yes.
You know.
And this last episode and the last few minutes of the episode previous when the suit was, you know... first of all, spoilers, come on.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, when he looks down there and he sees his Robin suit on fire, and it was just kind of like, it was like a defining moment, you know, and the introduction this week of Donna Troy.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode.
So did I.
Because it had that element of past.
Yes.
Which we've seen a little bit of, but it's been staying current.
Yes, exactly what you were talking about. In the last, in the previous flashbacks, we saw very young Dick Grayson, pre-Robin.
Right.
But when we got to meet Donna Troy, we got to see the two of them interact as Robin.
As sidekicks.
As sidekicks, yes.
Because they even brought it up. You know, they were sidekicks.
As sidekicks got to stay together.
You know, and they mentioned Diana, you know, Wonder Woman, you know,
and
I mean...
That's the other thing I really do like about the show is they pull no punches in reminding everybody that they are in the DC universe. Bruce... Batman. You know, the one previous episode when Dick was having his hallucinations, we got to see the Batcave, we got to see the Batmobile. You know, they're not taking their part in the DC universe lightly.
And even when Garth asked one to go see Batman, he just grumbled, you know?
Yeah. Oh. And we got to see on camera a moment that I have been waiting for a long time. We got to see the previous Robin meet the current Robin. That was great.
Jason Todd.
I've never been the biggest fan of Jason Todd. Jason Todd's Robin.
Right.
But to see the interaction between those two, that was awesome. Because it's like, oh yeah, it's like driving a Batmobile. And he's like, Dick's like, he let you drive the Batmobile? You know, it's just like...
he tried to steal the tires off of it,
or
the hubcaps off of it.
Which I'm glad they mentioned that. Really kept faithful to it, you know. But it was kind of like the older brother, younger brothers, you know, that sibling thing where it's just like, Dad let you drive the car, you never let me drive the car.
And he hadn't met him until then.
Yep.
So that kind of goes along with the comics.
Yep.
Because, you know, he never met him until later on after he became Robin. So, you know, it was... I like the way the homage to the comics, but this is its own story.
Yeah.
And that's what I think really makes it solid is they're telling their own story.
Yep.
Even though it's
parallel.
Yeah, parallel. That's a good. Yeah, it's parallel to the original property. So
Yeah. Speaking of parallel, you know, the whole multiverse thing, the CW universe.
there's a crisis, maybe.
Yes. We're calling it our countdown to the Elseworlds. Man, more footage and more photos are leaking out, and I am blown away.
The trailer was wild.
Wild. We get to see a live action monitor. That is, I can't hear. Oh man! And not only that, because I remember being there. You know, when the Crisis came out. You know, and seeing the monitor. Man, they nailed it. They took, you know, as TV does, subtle liberties. But if you put that guy
You mean
in
the
front,
Flash's costume?
yeah.
Sorry.
when you put that guy in front of you without saying anything, you looked at him and you was like, "That's a monitor." And just the subtle little stuff, you know, with Barry and Oliver switching places, you know,
And Superman in his black.
and the stuff we've seen of Lois Lane.
Right.
And the one nice little nod, and I love that they did this though. The episodes that are going to take place in Smallville will take place on the set of the Kent farm from Smallville, and I was just like, I know, because it was one of those things. I'm guilty of it, where I saw the picture first before I read the caption. I'm like, that looks like the farm from Smallville. You know, it's the bright yellow house. And then I read, I'm like, it is the farm from Smallville. I was like, yes.
You know, maybe it's out there. You know,
Yeah.
it's happened, so you never know. They could cross over. You know.
And I think they're leading up to something like that, especially with the idea of the monitor, you know, and the concept of the multiverse is, you know.
I mean, just look at on Flash. You know, with Harry's troop. What they call themselves?
The Council of Wells.
Yeah, Council of Wells.
Which, by the way, man, any time we can have Tom Cavanaugh play a different version of Harrison, I'm all for. I'm all for it. That we need to lock him in. I love him.
The Sherlock version right now.
Sherlock. Why is it so hard for you to say Sherlock? And we're finally starting to see more of the daughter.
Right.
And
Access.
Yes. And we're still being led to believe that there might be something a little bit more to her than just wanting to come back in time and see her dad.
Yeah, I actually think that might even be like a multiple universe thing itself.
Yeah.
You know, because it just seems like it's leading up, especially with the notion, you know, but who knows?
Yeah. I had a mind-blowing moment when I was watching The Flash. When that last episode was one of the real first good times we actually got to see the current villain, Cicada. Normal, you know, we got to see a flashback, and I'm looking at him, and I'm going, I know him from somewhere. Trusty IMDb. It's the guy from American Pie. It's Nova from American Pie. I'm like, no way. And I kind of wish I hadn't, because he's doing such a great job as Cicada. But now that I know he's the guy from American Pie, I can't see anything else. Like, any minute now, I'm expecting, you know, the dad with the bushy eyebrows to come out. You know, it's only natural.
That's just like me watching Lethal Weapon this season. But that's a whole nother episode.
That's a
but
whole
it's
nother
the
network.
same comparison.
And we got to see one of the big stories in Arrow wrap up.
Right.
His time at Slabside. He's finally a free man. And I was a little leery. You know, I was like, he's gonna be in prison. You know, like, how much? I loved it, man. That was pure Oliver Queen there, and I really liked the story. I liked his interactions with some of the people that he put in there. Yeah. And the one of the great interactions was him and Bronze Tiger, and his showing that he has the ability, the want and the capability of truly reforming himself.
I just think that it was neat that we get to see the team again.
The OTA, the original Team Arrow. Although I'm still very curious, the last episode really didn't touch much with the other Team Arrow.
Right.
You know, we didn't have any flash forwards. You know, like that TV show Lost, which, you know. But no, we didn't get to see anything about the future with Oliver's son.
So it might not be set totally.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But the important thing is, though, we did get to see Oliver Queen walking out of Slabside to Felicity and Diggle. And there was that moment, and then panning the credits. I'm like, yes! But I'm very interested. That's why I love shows like that, because, it's such a subtle ending, showing him outside, but then you got to think about, too, there's another Green Arrow out on the streets. And now, what's going to happen, because Oliver has been outed as the Green Arrow, but the public knows that there is another Green Arrow.
Yeah.
It just leaves so many questions that I can't wait to have answered.
Just go get a cheeseburger, like Marvel style.
Yeah, no kidding. You grab me a Big Belly burger.
Legends of Tomorrow.
Okay. I'm gonna come right out and say this. I cosplay Arrow. I love Arrow. I love Supergirl. I love Flash. It's going to take a lot for me to say this, but Legends of Tomorrow has officially become my favorite CW show.
This season kind of went in a whole nother direction.
It did. Not the introduction, because we've seen Constantine before, but the introduction of him as a team member.
Which he isn't really much of a team player.
He's still much of a team member. But just the idea that we got to see Constantine in short shorts and a t-shirt at a summer camp, that right there alone was worth the price of admission.
The swampy thing.
Thing. I know a swampy thing. This isn't his work, But because the idea, was, well, they were chasing time anomalies. Now we're introducing monsters. It's like, how is this going to play out? But they're doing it very well. And still keeping the lighthearted tone of the show. That show does not take itself seriously.
No.
That show makes fun of itself, And that's one of the things I love about it. And we got to see the return of the actress who played Amara.
Right. That was weird.
Yeah, that's still...
that was kind of contrived, but...
I
like the other actress that was actually playing the demon.
So did I.
Was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
But...
It was almost kind of like, it was... I don't know what actually happened, but it almost gets to feel like maybe that the studios were getting a lot of fan mail. Says, we love her, we want her back, but it's like, we can't because
the time
it really won't make sense. But we want her back. It's like, all right,
here,
shapeshifter, But it's still one of the most fun one of the most fun series. It's pure entertainment.
Yeah,
I really do love that,
especially with the three monster or the demons in the Time Bureau.
Oh God, yes. And to see Mick Rory come into his own as a writer, that was, oh my God. It's like, what were you doing there? He was like, he's on his old-fashioned typewriter. It's like, I'm looking at porn. He's like, on a typewriter. It's like,
I like it when he went to the director goes, stick with the lizard. He's the king.
Yes. Yeah. There's like, oh, king of monsters. It's like, oh, I love that. And then I love this season because you can't have a proper time travel show without Biff Tannen. Having Tom Wilson come on the show as Nate's dad was a stroke of genius, and he's added so much to the season.
And I love the different quotes he's been doing. I mean, they've been direct quotes out of Back to the Future.
Oh yeah, it's like, all right, boys, time like a tree and leave. And then Nate's like, I don't think that's the line. But we got to see what was really nice too was in the episode where they go back and they meet Ernest Hemingway and Salvador Dali. I know from Tom Wilson's history because he's a fantastic stand-up comedian. He really, in his own right, he is one of the most hilarious people out there. I highly recommend you look up his work. He's great. He's a great musician. He's a great artist. He does some spectacular pieces. He's all around.
Google.
Google that. But what really tickled me was in the scene where they had to lull the Minotaur to sleep.
Oh.
That's him playing the guitar and singing, people, because he really is. He is a fantastic musician and he's a great singer. That was legitimately him, and I'm just like, that was a nod. That was a great nod to his fans, not fans of Back to the Future. His fans. Right. I'm like, oh, that was a nice touch.
Overall, it's been fun. Supergirl, it's been out there. I mean, this whole immigration subplot has been kind of whatever.
I love Supergirl in that they touch on current events.
Right.
My only complaint, and I've heard this from other people too, is it's gotten a little too heavy-handed.
That's where I was trying to get. It's really like almost shoving down our throats a little too much.
A little bit. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the message. I really do. I'm pro everything that they've talked about on the show, but it's my opinion. Disclaimer: the opinions here, it's just a little. It's a little too much. But
it's Supergirl, That's
yes.
And I hopefully they'll go out and do some action because we got to see the new Parasite.
Yes, which will open up a lot of new doors. Oh, the introduction of Manchester Black.
Yes, that was
which I'm really interested in seeing where they take him because I'm very familiar with Manchester Black from the comic books. The Justice League Elite. Well, even before that, one of the greatest issues. You can fact check me, but I'm going to go mental. What was it? Action Comic Books 776. What's so funny about Truth, Justice, and the American Way, when he first meets Manchester Black and his team that are pretty much like, screw it, kill him. And it was him, them dogging on him for being, still the milk toast Boy Scout.
Right.
So that's where I know Manchester Black from.
And it's playing into that.
Yes.
We started out a little different, but then it got a different origin, sort of, or who knows what they're going to do with them, Mm-hmm. I just hope they just run with it in the second half of the season.
I do too. There's so much potential there. So, man, I think that's the other thing. The last thing to mention is we talked a little bit about some of the stills and everything we've seen from the Elseworlds coming out. We forgot to mention Batwoman.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm digging it because they. My first interaction with Batwoman was from one of my all-time favorite comic book lines, 52.
Oh.
That's where I can't remember if that was where she was introduced. But I'm almost positive it was where she was introduced. Because...
This version of Batwoman.
Of Batwoman, yes.
Yeah.
Because I remember because in the books was the first time that she had met Nightwing. And Nightwing kind of puts the moves on her, and she's kind of like barking up the wrong tree, bud. I remember that. Yeah. But that was where I first was introduced to her, was in 52, and to see her costume and remember what she looked like in 52, straight from the books. And I already have so many cosplay friends that are just like, oh, add that costume to the wish list. That's going to happen.
Well, who was it used to cosplay her when it first came out? Because it was down at Mid-Ohio Con.
Kirsten.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, she was, yeah.
Because I just found that picture with Peanut and her. I think that's who it was, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So, DC TV, stay tuned.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of Underground Video Networks.
Behind the Counter.
In this episode, we're going to give you a little recount. Okay, one more time.
It's not Florida.
That's not counting. For Jesus Christ, it's a hanging Chad. Hey everyone, and welcome back. This is our... boy, I'm off today. It's the cold.
Oh, yeah.